My name is Reese Hyzer, and I am a researcher on the social media and adolescent health research team housed at the University of Wisconsin-Madison. And I'm also getting my PhD in school psychology at Loyola University Chicago. So, kind of a weird trajectory, but I'm duly affiliated with both universities. Today, I'm really excited to be here with you all and present on a project or a kind of strand of research that I've been working on for a while. So we'll kind of go over this presentation from shares to a movement, how young adults use social media to promote safety and moderation. And my co-authors on this are Marina Jenkins, Chelsea Olson, and the PI on SMART is Megan Moreno, at the University of Wisconsin. All right. So, disclosures. This project was supported by an AR-21 grant from the National Institute on Alcohol Abuse and Alcoholism. And the authors do not have any documented financial relationships to disclose or conflicts of interest. So in the presentation today, our main learning objectives are to explore the prevalence and characteristics of safety, abstention, and moderation, otherwise known as SAM, displays related to alcohol use on social media platforms among adolescents and young adults. We will also identify and categorize different types of SAM displays on social media and their potential influence on promoting alcohol safety and well-being. And lastly, we will examine how SAM displays on social media can be utilized to disseminate effective public health messages and foster harm reduction strategies for alcohol use. So a little bit of background. Problem alcohol use is a public health concern, as I think you all know. And this is a really big issue for adolescents and young adults. Adolescents and young adults engage in risky health behaviors, but they are also a population that are less likely to have regular checkups to assess their physical and mental health. Social media has emerged as a medium in which adolescents and young adults post about their alcohol behaviors. And this is including images of going out to bars and memes about, being drunk or hungover. There's been a lot of research in the last couple of decades that have linked social media posts about drinking to offline use. So, for example, if you're posting more about, going out and drinking alcohol or being drunk, that is associated with a higher offline use of alcohol as well. And recent studies have explored how social media could potentially be a way to identify individuals who may benefit from alcohol interventions. So, social media posts referencing safety, abstention, and moderation have been steadily increasing. So, in a previous 5-year study in 2011 to 2016, there were about less than 1% of references related to alcohol use were categorized as SAM. In a more recent study in 2018 to 2020, this study population was a little bit different in that we were looking at community college students, but the prevalence of SAM posts rose to 4.5% of alcohol posts. So, in between, I think that decade of probably 2010 to 2020, you can see this rise in kind of SAM related displays on social media. However, little is known about SAM references to alcohol safety, abstention, and moderation on social media profiles posted by a general population of adolescents, young adults. So, including those attending a 4-year university, 2-year university, or non-college attending. And to give you all a little bit of an idea, I also have here an example of a SAM post. So this is one that would be categorized as a safety post, really talking about not drinking and driving. So with this in mind, I wanted to get a little bit of a poll from you all on, have you ever seen and or posted a social media post displaying SAM, so related to safety, abstention of alcohol use, or moderation? So please respond. I'm just kind of curious too. I feel like you guys were probably all exposed because of your line of work, but it'll be interesting to see. Awesome. Thank you all for responding. So it sounds like about half of you have seen these posts before, not surprising. And about 15 out of 37 have created or shared these posts before. And only a few have never seen these. So it seems like you all have a good level of exposure to these types of posts. So that will help really provide some background and context for this presentation. Great. So today I will be talking about a research study, and the purpose of this study was to evaluate SAM displays among adolescents and young adults on social media and understand a little bit about why adolescents and young adults post this content. So for this study, a national sample of 18 to 25-year-olds were recruited from Qualtrics panels. So we use an online survey platform. And in order to participate in the study, we did ask that participants were current alcohol users, so using alcohol in the past 30 days. And we also asked that they had a social media profile on Facebook, Instagram, and or Twitter. And we wanted to make sure that they had created or interacted with a social media post on their profile within the last 6 months of study enrollment. So really wanting to make sure that we had a unique population of, current alcohol users and then also current social media users, since those are our main two focuses of the study. Our study had two components. The first is a content analysis, and the second is cognitive interviews. For the content analysis, our methods we deployed were when participants completed the survey, we asked for them to also share their social media profile with us. So in order to be in our study, they had to complete their survey, and then also we had to be able to find them on social media to view their information. And so we conducted our content analysis on all profiles that they gave us. So again, Facebook, Instagram, and or Twitter for 6 months. So the timeline that we're really looking at was March through August of 2022. We evaluated content and posts for the presence of references displayed according to a previously validated codebook. So like I had mentioned earlier, we've kind of been studying this idea of SAM displays since 2011. So we use that as our main code book. And in our coding procedures, we reviewed both text and imagery, but we did not code videos. If a post was a video post, we kind of looked at the image still of the video, but we did not watch videos. For the cognitive interviews, our intention was to really understand displayed SAM content on social media. And so we recruited participants who had posted a SAM display. Our questions focused on reasons for and experiences with displaying SAM posts, social norms regarding SAM posts, and SAM posts related to strategies to reduce alcohol use. So I'll kind of walk through our different components of the SAM codebook. So our first coding category was safety. I'm pretty sure you guys are all probably familiar with what these posts look like, but a post including a statement commenting that alcohol use can be unsafe or making recommendations about how to use alcohol safely. Our sobriety category included references to a person's decision to maintain abstinence from alcohol. We also had a codebook category called addiction recovery efforts. This included references to oneself or another attempting to overcome or conquer alcohol addiction or promoting addiction recovery resources. So really acknowledging that, journeying to sobriety isn't always a linear process, and a lot of times, people will be sharing their own stories to sobriety. We also included a category that we called anti-alcohol. So this was any post that showed a negative attitude, intention, or behavior toward alcohol that was not included moderation. So an example for this would be if a participant had posted, I hate beer, right? That would be more of an anti-alcohol post. They're talking about not liking a certain type of alcohol, but not necessarily related to trying to cut back on drinking. Which leads me to moderation. So this is a post which makes any reference to the avoidance of excessive alcohol use or binge drinking. In addition to looking at across that SAM category, we were also interested in kind of what types of posts were SAM displays showing up in. And so we had this other codebook category for post type. And so if you think about, social media platform like Instagram or Facebook, there's different kind of places where people can customize their profiles. So the first kind of subcategory for this is the about or biography section. So this is any kind of text displayed by the participant as part of their profile that is more stagnant. It's always there, not necessarily a post. A text-based post would be like a status update or a tweet without any use of multimedia, so no images or videos attached to it. Photos, I feel like are pretty self-explanatory, but this included profile photos of participants, their cover photo, and any uploaded images or screenshots that they chose to share. The next category is what we called a repost. So this is something where the participant wasn't posting their own original content, but they might be using the share button, the retweet button, or quoting a tweet on social media. So taking another account or person's post and then adding maybe their own thoughts on it or just reposting it. And then lastly, we also looked at what participants liked using the like feature. And this was more to really understand what types of posts they were really endorsing. Our analyses for this project are really descriptive, which I think kind of lends itself well to this type of data. So we're really looking at the prevalence of SAM displays, including the subcategorizations within the code book. So this would be, breaking it down into those 5 categories, and then also looking at the frequency of post types for SAM displays. So like the table, seeing how many of those are reposted, how many were likes, how many were photos, etc. In addition, we reviewed responses from our cognitive interviews to provide additional context for participants' perceptions of SAM displays, wanting to get a holistic picture of, what is the thought process behind posting a SAM display and what do they mean? So looking at our sample descriptive data, in our content analysis portion of the study, so the whole study, we had 233 participants, and we had a total of 4 participants for the cognitive interviews. So one thing I will note, the pie charts below is really describing the 233 participants for the content analysis, and we are unable to share demographic information for our 4 cognitive interview participants because of the small sample size. We don't want any identifiable information. So for our content analysis sample, you can see here that the majority of our participants were, or a little over half were female, and the majority identified as white. The average age for the participants was about 22 years old, and about 3/4 of the participants were above the legal drinking age. One thing that I will note is because we used the Qualtrics study platform, that was something where we tried to match our demographics as closely to the US Census data that we could. So although it still ended up being majority white, we tried to align it with what the census data looked like at the time of the study. Looking toward results, here are SAM displays by subcategory. So in total, 44 participants posted a SAM reference, and these participants posted a total of 138 SAM references. The most common SAM display was sobriety, followed by addiction recovery efforts, and then anti-alcohol, moderation, and safety were a little bit less common, but still pretty prevalent. Okay. Um, Another piece to think about, so that 44 participants, this was about 13.9% of the total participants. Um, and then I think I forgot to mention this earlier, because, the ways that I'm sure you all know that the way that people will talk about alcohol is pretty fluid. So our code book was developed so these categories were not mutually exclusive, meaning that a post could be talking about safe alcohol use and sobriety at the same time and kind of across the different pieces. Looking at SAM displays by post type. Um, okay. This is an error. Okay. I'm sorry about that. The gist of going back to the idea of the post type, the overwhelming majority of posts were in this repost category. So the majority of posts were really shares of another user or public health association that were really talking about the different SAM categories. And this is something that you will see as we get more into our examples of displays. So here's an example of our sobriety displays. And so as you can see on the left, this is a participant on Instagram that was sharing one of their major milestones reached for 3 years of sober time. And then on the right, this is a shared post. So one way that you can tell is here, you can see my cursor on the bottom. You can see that this was originally posted by the United Recovery Project. And then you can see that this is reposted by our participant at the top. So I hope you get sober. It'd be cool to see you again or to see the real you again. And then the participant added the text, "What I be saying in the mirror?" So really talking about their own desire to be sober. Looking more at our addiction recovery efforts displays, this is where we saw a lot more of text-based posts of people really talking about their own journeys. And so this is a participant who was sharing a post. So you can see this is a reposted post talking about how everyone has their own opinions on drug and alcohol addiction, but until you've been there, your opinion means nothing. You don't control addiction, it controls you. And so, going on, this post really paints a picture of what battling alcohol addiction can look like, and also including drug addiction in there too. On the right, this is an example that we saw quite a few times that was more about just sharing resources. So this is a participant who, again, shared a news article talking about a alcohol and drug recovery center that was now open in their town. So they really wanted to kind of put this resource out there to share with their friends on Facebook. Getting into the anti-alcohol displays, this is another aspect of our code book that we don't really code for humor when we're looking at social media posts, even though we know that it's a big component, but we really try to take each post at face value. So on the left, you can see that this is more of a meme of the Last Supper saying, "He turned my water into wine. I didn't ask for that." So this was coded as anti-alcohol because it was, not asking for water to be turned into wine. And then on the right, this is a tweet that says, I hate Don Julio Blanco more than I hate my family. So this is another instance where the participant is just sharing their opinion on alcohol, and what their preference is. And more so just that negative attitude toward this particular type of alcohol. When looking at moderation displays, here are a couple of examples. So on the top, this was a participant sharing their own post from 3 years ago, which I think was really interesting. I think if think about if you have Facebook, it will oftentimes try to get you to share your own memories or say like 3 years ago you posted this, post it again. So I think that was kind of a more interesting feature of the way that Facebook functions. But this post is talking about, hydrate right now before shotgunning, your cheap beer tonight, love you. So thinking about what are some of those strategies that help with moderation, and safe alcohol use, such as drinking water, if you are drinking alcohol. On the bottom, it's talking about, not drinking on July 4th through the 7th. Um, and so another part of our moderation code book was if participants referenced to abstaining from drinking for a specific time period, we coded that as moderation rather than sobriety. We really wanted to keep the sobriety category for talking about long-term abstention of alcohol use, or really trying to eliminate alcohol use from their life, compared to setting some time parameters around their alcohol use. So that's one differentiation between the moderation and sobriety. Looking at, safety displays, which I think, they weren't the most common in our sample, but I feel like along with public health messaging, this is something that we see a bit. And so this participant reposted here on the left a tweet. One thing that I think is really interesting, so we have the participant name blocked out up here, but they were reposting an account that was verified, that was a repost of another account that was verified. So really kind of thinking about, what the credibility is with these sources, but the intention of this post really being anti-drunk driving, and kind of showing some of the consequences that may happen. In addition, on the right-hand side, we have an example of a tweet that is talking about fetal alcohol syndrome, and spreading awareness around this as well. So, understanding maybe some more of the nuances around fetal alcohol syndrome. I think one thing that I really remember from this participant is they shared a lot about fetal alcohol syndrome. So I think, participants that are young adults that might have personal connections to these different aspects of alcohol use may be more likely and more inclined to share their own thoughts. Okay. Now moving into some of the qualitative pieces, and I'll just say that we haven't done a full, qualitative analysis on this data yet. And just with the smaller sample, it's a little bit tougher. But one thing that I wanted to do, just to provide some depth to the types of posts and also the categories of SAM, is just to kind of go over and investigate some of the quotes that came out of asking participants, why are you posting these? What are your intentions? What is your goal with these posts? And so the first quote here on the left reads, I think that there is a large group of young adults who don't drink. And I think for themselves, like they post it kind of to find their people and to let themselves know, their little group, that they're not alone. That's what I think, it's for, finding a community of people who are like-minded or have similar behaviors. Another participant noted that I think it's important that we normalize not drinking because there's a possibility that this person could be recovering. Then not to entice them to have a drink or something like that, and they go back to ruining their life all over again, having to pick up the pieces. Another participant noted, not just saying alcohol is bad, but like alcohol is bad, so here's, talking about promoting certain treatments for it. It's okay. Here's the number of the closest rehab center or something like that, or some program to help you get through. It's more than saying alcohol is bad, but alcohol is bad. Let me help. So, what you can kind of see from looking at these quotes is, first of all, no one talks in complete grammatically correct sentences. So that's part of, collecting qualitative data. But really the overall theme here is that when talking about sobriety or abstention, really understanding how to normalize not drinking alcohol in this age group. I think that there's a lot of research, and we know that at adolescence and young adulthood is a time where people are often experimenting. It's developmentally appropriate to try new things, to test your limits. But for adolescents who maybe have had negative experiences or struggle with their own alcohol use, it's, as we all know, really important to kind of normalize it or change some of the social norms there, which I think really aligns with what the work that you are all doing. Shifting gears to talk about moderation displays. Um, this first quote reads, I guess to protect, friendly reminder, drink your water. I also like thinking about alcohol poisoning. It's a real thing, and a lot of people don't talk about it, especially on social media. Another participant noted, so people stay safe with it and don't feel like crap the next morning. So moderation to prevent, the negative consequences of alcohol use or binge drinking, such as a hangover. And this last participant noted that they were, just looking out for people. If it was a person in general, or say it was my best friend and I knew he was going partying that night, then I would send it directly to him so he could see it instead of just, oh yeah, he'll probably see it on my page or whatever. But trying to look out for people, and it sounds like this participant wanting to even directly message or send this resource or heads up to their friend as kind of a way to really look out for them. And so, in contrast with the last quotes, where it was really kind of thinking about putting some of that awareness about sobriety culture, this is really, I think, more related to sharing protective behavior strategies, right? So, thinking about how much you're drinking, thinking about those strategies such as hydration that may reduce the alcohol risk and harm. And then turning to really look about the quotes about safety. I'll share. I don't have the data for this on hand, but in the last time where we really looked at SAM categories in the community college population, safety was the highest category. So really to see that shift to be more related to sobriety in this population, I think is really telling about, what the trends are looking like here. But when asked about safety displays, our participants said, there were a few people that died from overdoses or car crashes or whatever. And you're just like, I sat in class with that person. And so we're tired of losing people to drugs and alcohol and reckless driving in general when they're under the influence. Another participant noted that a lot of times I don't really post my own posts on social media. I'll just share something else, and it's not like super long, a long thought process. I don't think too much about it. I'll be like, oh, that's a good point. And in some situations, not usually in this one, but I'll be like, oh, that's a funny meme. Because there's not really a lot of funny memes on the alcohol safety aspect. Excuse me. And then lastly, another participant noted that they would just like to raise awareness about stuff like, there's fun aspects of drinking, making fun memories when you're not totally in your right state of mind. But at the same time, there's also dangers and just bringing awareness to the danger side too. Like it's not all sunshine and rainbows. One aspect of, these quotes, I think they really highlight the fact that participants want to again raise awareness about safety displays. And they're also just sharing content, right? This participant up here on the top right is really talking about they don't post their own things, but they'll share what other people post. And I think it's important to really pull out this idea that there's not really a lot of funny memes on alcohol safety, but perhaps this population would respond more to funny memes on alcohol safety. So, just another avenue or opportunity for that public health messaging, just to take a little bit of a different tone. In conclusion, we saw that safety, abstention, and moderation references were posted by about 1/7 of adolescents and young adults in our sample. Sobriety and addiction recovery efforts were the most prevalent category of SAM displays. And this, again, like I said, is really just showing that there is a growing discussion around sobriety and recovery from alcohol addiction on social media, which may suggest a culture shift towards sobriety or sober curiosity in adolescents and young adults. Most SAM displays were identified in social media posts that were reposted by participants on their profile. And this really illustrates that adolescents and young adults may feel more comfortable reposting existing content on social media rather than sharing their firsthand experiences with this topic. And adolescents and young adults post SAM displays because they want to raise awareness, look out for their friends, and prevent harm in their community. With all research studies in all areas, there are always some limitations. First limitation is that, participants might have hidden or limited what we could see. So upon study enrollment, we asked participants to maintain an open friendship with us, but we are limited based on what they share based on their own privacy settings. And so we really only were able to view publicly available information and also not private communication. So we weren't able to, when that participant says that they will direct message their friend about their alcohol use, we couldn't see that private communication between social media users. As far as our implications, the posting of both SAM references may be indicative of a person who is, in the contemplation stage, and open to alcohol intervention. If they're already showing some attitudes towards safe alcohol use or limiting their own alcohol use, they might also be one that would be responsive to an intervention. Our findings really suggest that social media may be an avenue to disseminate public health messages to adolescents and young adults about safe alcohol use as well. And future studies should investigate associations between SAM references and offline alcohol use to understand whether these references suggest a willingness to reduce alcohol use. So really solidifying that online-offline connection is a next step that we are investigating as a team. Okay. And since this is, a workshop, I wanted just to, give a little bit of time for you all to reflect on the information you learned today, and create a social media post that may resonate with your target audience. So maybe instead of 5 minutes, if we want to just take, or maybe we can take 5-ish minutes, just to think about, your own target audience, kind of the organization that you work with, and how you would go about, creating a social media post related to this topic for your own audience or community to see. So I will pause for a couple of minutes. And if you guys want to type any ideas that you have in the chat as you think of them, I feel like this will be a great, brainstorming space.
So if you have any ideas, feel free to put them in the chat or the Q&A. I'm excited to see what they have. Thank you, Reese.
Yeah, I'm also excited to see. And it also doesn't have to be perfect, just any initial thoughts or ideas. Yeah. Just if you guys want to take a couple minutes to brainstorm ideas of social media posts that you can create that would really resonate with your own community. One of our qualitative responses is really there are no memes about safe alcohol use or sobriety that the participant could think of. Um, so if you have ideas for memes, I know that sometimes humor is one way to, get a message across for people. I like these ideas. Yeah, and Trevor, to really think about the question that you pose, thinking about what is it about sobriety that the audiences might find intriguing, and how to share that with others. You just go back to this slide. I almost wonder, and this is more based on my own anecdotal, I think, scrolling on social media, but with the rise of a lot of creators talking about healthy lifestyles and potentially, the increase in trendiness of dry January, sober October. You think about like the hard 75, those types of social media trends too, I think are some of the ways that, sobriety is becoming more popular and more talked about amongst this population.
Yeah, I just wanted to say, if you want to raise your hand so you can be unmuted and give you a little bit of input on the previous slide, go ahead.
Hi, this is Meredith. Can you hear me okay?
Yeah.
Okay, so one of the things that we did, and I mean, it was a few years ago, like during the pandemic, but we used social math. And so we created a post that says it was about how much of a violation you would get for a social host ordinance violation. And it was like something like, I don't know, $1,500 or something like that. But anyway, we created kind of a clever post about how much that $1,500 could have been spent otherwise. So it was broken down into like, number of, Starbucks lattes, how much the latest I guess at the time I think it was PS4, how many PS4s you could buy, with that money that you were spending on paying a fee. So anyway, but using social math just to kind of like contextualize um yeah, the cost, I guess, of if you were to get a DUI, for instance. So that's it.
Yeah, thanks for sharing that. I really like that idea, especially for the adolescent young adult population, because a lot of times these individuals are, taking classes in college or they're working but they haven't established, a lot of savings. So money is always, I think, tighter with this population. So thinking about, what are other ways that you could spend your money on, even if it's like instead of spending it on alcohol, what are other things that you could buy? It's such a good idea.
Lisa, do you want me to read some of the other suggestions or ideas that are being put in the chat?
Yeah, that would be great. Thank you.
We have one says, in the young adult and adult spaces, health optimization and wellness is increasingly cited as a reason for reducing or eliminating alcohol use. And then Sarah Boyer said, I think it's important to have a more friendly conversation. About like how we can approach the conversation is very important because we want to have people be intrigued in that topic. We
Yeah.
also have suggestions of dry January or no smoking weed April, and feeling when you wake up without a hangover because you drink water and know your limits with a meme image. I like that. That's cute.
Yeah. That's awesome. I also like Hannah's suggestion of creating a video about like the bad taste of alcohol. I feel like you always see the people with like the different soda bottles trying to guess the different types of soda, like Diet Pepsi versus Diet Coke. Things like that are always fun things, fun videos. Okay. Thank you guys for all engaging in that little brainstorm activity. I hope that helps give an idea of just maybe how you could implement some of these research findings. I would want to just make sure that I acknowledge, my co-authors, so Marina, Chelsea, Megan, and then also Maggie Cooper for assistance in making the slide template. And then a big shout out to our team of coders or researchers who assisted with data collection. So as you can imagine, friending 233 people, looking at their social media profiles every month is not a small feat. So just want to give a shout out. We have a mixture of our, research staff, we have graduate students, and then also undergraduate students all helping on this project. And then here is my contact info. Yeah, I think I can take, how are we on time? A couple of questions, if anyone has any.
Minutes.
Great.
So if you have any questions, you could type them. We can unmute you. Feel free, whatever you're more comfortable with.
Thank you everyone for being here, and also thank you to the BUDI team for providing me the platform to speak on behalf of the Elevate Youth California team. I'm very excited to speak more on how to create and implement safe and alcohol-free spaces for youth. And if you are all feeling inclined to follow us on Instagram, our Instagram name is at Youth in Action SD. We are also on TikTok. If you do decide to follow us, please go ahead and leave your phone out. There will be an interactive portion. And if you don't have your phone with you, that's okay. We can also do it through the computer if that's easier for you. And I'll go ahead and share our Instagram again at the end of the slides. But if you just want to kind of follow along and see the free spaces that we have created for the youth, please feel free to do so. So first, I want to go ahead and introduce the Youth in Action team. So that would be myself. I am the Project Support Specialist, along with Vania Ramirez. She is our supervisor, and she is wonderful. And we also have Jennifer Lagunas. She is currently on PTO right now, but she has been a great support. And we are a small but mighty team. Among the three of us, we collaborate primarily with Latinx youth, ages 12 to 26, more specifically those who have been affected by the war on drugs. Of course, we don't want to turn anyone away, so if they are not any part of the Latinx population, or if they are just under or above that age group, of course we want to make sure that we are providing them with the alcohol-free spaces, that we are giving them the resources that they need. So we are here to serve whoever needs help, but primarily for youth 12 to 26. I guess I should say last year, in 2024, we were able to reach 85 new participants. So over the last 3 years, the Youth in Action team has seen 220 youth participating in our events or just interacting with us in person. So we're really excited to see the number keep growing. And our goals for this year are to continue growing stronger communities, stronger relationships, and really emphasize self-growth. It's important for us to really allow youth to have that platform. They often feel like their voices aren't heard or they're not understood because of their age. So we want to make sure that we are there to empower them and we are there to support them with whatever they need. So I want to start by talking about third spaces and how they are affecting youth. If you don't know what a third space is, it is defined as an area outside of an individual's workspace and home. In this case, for the youth, their workspace is school primarily. Not the case for all youth, but for most youth, they are in school full time. And so this space should provide an area where they have social enrichment. It helps to reduce stress and it offers a sense of restorative well-being. So us as Youth in Action, we want to be able to provide that third space because we have noticed that there has been less and less availability of these spaces. And so that brings me to ask you all, why do you think that third spaces are becoming less common? And let me go ahead and share this screen. So if you can scan this QR code here, or go to slido.com and enter this code. Just take a moment and maybe share your thoughts on why you think third spaces are becoming less common. And I'll give you a few minutes to really reflect on that. Let me know if the Slido is working. I did see on their website they were having some maintenance issues. If it doesn't work, that's okay. We can adapt. But yeah, or you can also leave it in the chat. Okay, so I see lack of funds, increase in use of social media and online platforms. Definitely, yeah. Good answers. Commercial business taking over public land. Public spaces are considered and sometimes are unsafe. Yes, I can definitely agree with that. COVID caused us to reverse backwards. Absolutely, yeah. There's a lot of different
Actually, real quick,
impacts.
I just want to jump in. Can you explain what a third space is again? We had a question about it.
Yes, of course. So the third spaces, they are where someone can go to have social enrichment that is outside of their home and their workplace. And these third spaces are places that usually help reduce stress and offer just kind of feeling like they can almost get away from their daily activities and have a break. And then I'm seeing these third spaces are becoming less common because of resources, not available in community, the locations are far. Yeah, so these are really great answers. Thank you all for being so thoughtful. I'll let you continue just for a moment. Less comfortability for young people to try new things and get out of their comfort zone. Absolutely. Yeah, working with youth, I have seen that sometimes they need that push and that's okay. You know, that's what we're here for. Transportation. Yeah. Takes money. Yeah, definitely. Growing cost of living. Absolutely. Yeah. Thank you. Thank you all for sharing. And then if you want to continue adding on to this, please go ahead and do. I would love to see what your thoughts are. But I'm going to go ahead and go back to the presentation. And then I'll go ahead and discuss a little bit about what I'm seeing. So we've noticed that there are economic factors that go into the third spaces. And this is because many establishments require you to purchase something to stay in the facility. If someone wants to go out, maybe for a coffee, they need to purchase something to stay within the facility. Also, there's temptation. If someone goes to a restaurant, they have the opportunity to order alcohol. Maybe they're trying to be sober, and if they are offered with the opportunity to order alcohol, but this is the only space that is near their area, this could make it difficult for them to live a sober-free life. And also technology. Technology has made it very difficult for people to want to leave their houses, to socialize. It's resulted in social isolation. So we really want to make sure that we are acknowledging these factors on why third spaces are becoming less common, and really noticing the effect that they play on youth. So, in light of that, here are some of the 2024 safe alcohol-free spaces that the Youth in Action team has been able to provide for the youth. So, first we had kayaking, and this was a great event because we were able to connect with Ocean Connectors is the name of the organization. And so we were able to bring the youth outside to really be in nature. And from their experience, they were very hesitant to get on the kayaks, because of that fear of trying something that's new to them, of going somewhere where they haven't been. But after the first time, they let us know, hey, I really like that. When is the next event? And so we've done 2 kayaking events so far. I personally loved it. The youth loved it. And it's just great to see them want to go back. The next event that we had was a silent disco event. This was hosted in the YMCA Camp Surf. So that was our partner for that event. Just yesterday, I actually ran into some of the youth that went to that event, and they asked me, when is the next one? So just hearing that really made me excited to continue and to really create that safe space for youth. We also have the Clean Coast Collaborative. This is a recurring event. This is a group of youth that has met every other week to talk about the water pollution crisis in the Tijuana River Valley. And so they're really focused on advocacy and coming together to talk about what's going on within their community. So they are a great group of youth. And then we collaborate with the libraries. We collaborate with also YMCA Camp Surf. We try to make sure that we are finding venues that are free, that our youth feel comfortable in. So building these connections with those organizations is really, really important for us. We want to make sure that, like I said, they feel comfortable, they feel safe, and that when they return, they know where they can go and they know where they can find us. And then finally, we had a town hall / posada. This was a holiday event. And we had a group of panelists speak about the dangers of driving under the influence. We did have a good number of youth that came. And again, they were very interested in the discussion. And it's just great to hear because they'll come up to me and they'll say, hey, like, I really enjoyed that. And yeah, it's a great feeling to know that the effort that we're putting in for the youth to really feel like they have that space and that opportunity to be youth is working, and that they're happy about it. So I want to talk about outreach strategies and how we were able to reach the youth. There's a couple different practices that we use. I think it's also important to be transparent and talk about what works and also what doesn't work. This is from our experience. This is what worked for us. And maybe what didn't work for us might work for your group of youth. So it's really about trial and error and trying to figure out the best source to really create that traffic and really make sure that the youth are interested. So for one outreach strategy that we utilize is social media. So this could be posting flyers with the day and time and the location of our events. This is beneficial for the people that follow us. We do have about 800 followers right now, so we have a good number. And so the good thing about social media is that it's live. The posts can be shared with their friends and it's real time. And so we can continually keep them updated, posting on the stories, saying, hey, this event is in 3 days, this event is in 2 days, and then the day of the event, making sure to repost it. I will say that a con of posting on social media is that a lot of times we try to do RSVP forms just to ensure that we have enough food and materials for the attendees. But we have seen that there is a low RSVP engagement when we do post on social media. So it's not necessarily a requirement for people to RSVP, but it does help us to ensure that we do have enough resources allocated for the individuals that are attending. We want to make sure that if we have food, that everyone has enough food to eat. And so, yeah, so social media is a great tool. And so we also utilize email. This is great for individuals that continuously come to events. Maybe they're interested in finding out more about future events. And we do this through the use of newsletters that are sent out once a month. One con of email is that many youth are not consistent with checking their email. We have noticed that it is a little bit difficult to get a response. So email right now for the age group might not be the best, but of course there's those people that they are consistent, that they do check their email. Another outreach strategy that I think this outreach strategy has the most success, in my opinion, is in-person outreach. So going to in-person events, maybe going to the schools, tabling places. I think this is the most successful because you're able to build that relationship with the youth. And it's also important to realize that sometimes speaking to the youth is not the only method. Speaking to the parents will also create that trust and create that bond. Many parents are the ones that are picking them up and dropping them off at these events. So they want to make sure that they know, hey, this isn't just some random lady that's taking my kid. This is someone that is actually with an organization and they're actually doing something that is safe and that my child will be happy. One con that I will say from in-person outreach is sometimes there's not much foot traffic. So we could spend hours somewhere and we just won't get a lot of engagement. Even going up to people, sometimes we do get turned down, and that's okay, you know. My thing is be annoying, be persistent. Unless you get a definite no, then just move on to the next person, and that's okay. One method that I will say has helped our team to continue building relationships with different organizations is creating a spreadsheet with maybe a local business that has a bulletin board, or with libraries. That way, when we do our in-person outreach, we could just leave the flyers there, and then we can continue promoting our events. And once we come back, then the workers already know who we are. They know that we have another event that we want to promote. So that spreadsheet is really beneficial for us. It has worked. And the last outreach strategy is word of mouth. So youth have the opportunity to share that information with their friends or with their family. We see this when we go to schools. A lot of youth interact with their friends and they talk about, hey, I heard about this event. One con about that is that there's no way to ensure or track that they are really sharing the information. So it's just important to really make sure that we are putting ourselves out there and we're going to the spaces where the youth are, where the parents are. It makes it easier versus waiting for them to come to us. So we do often like to incentivize attendance, and this is to really make sure that the youth are benefiting from it, and so we are also benefiting from it. One way that we do this is through gift cards. And this is another reason why it's important to collaborate with local businesses. Sometimes they are able to donate gift cards. So it benefits the business, it benefits us, and it benefits the youth. So really building that relationship to get gift cards or even donations for food, that really helps us see an increase in the attendance. Also giveaways. Maybe for the first 20 people to attend, we like to announce, hey, if you're one of the first 20, one of the first 50, you'll get a free tote bag and it'll be filled with goodies, so just making them intrigued, making them wonder, hey, what are they going to give away now? And then also community service hours. A lot of youth, since they're in high school, a requirement is to complete community service hours. So sometimes they even volunteer at these events. It helps us, it helps them, or even just for participating, like for the Clean Coast Collaborative, if they participate and they share their voice and they are working on advocacy, we want to make sure that they are being incentivized for their attendance. And lastly, recognition. We want to make sure that when the youth are attending these events, that they feel like they're not just showing up to show up. They're showing up, and they're making an impact on themselves, on their community, and it really allows us to continue offering these services to them, to really make sure that they are in safe spaces. So I want to share this picture. This was actually yesterday. One of the recognitions that Luis, which is holding the certificate, he is one of the founders of the Clean Coast Collaborative. He was recognized on behalf of the Clean Coast Collaborative by the Port of San Diego and Mayor Paloma Aguirre. She's the mayor of Imperial Beach. So it's just really rewarding to see the efforts that these youth are putting into the work that they do. And also they see the outcome of it, it makes them excited to continue working harder. It makes them excited to see the benefits that they are collecting from this. And it makes me inspired. I previously worked with older adults. This is my first time working with youth. I will say that working with both populations, they are both very honest, and I can definitely appreciate that. I really appreciate their input, and I know that when I hear them say, hey, I really like this event, it's because they mean it. If they didn't like it, I know that they would not have said that. So it's really great to work with them. So some key takeaways that I want to just make sure, if you are listening to one thing, just listen to this. Incentives encourage attendance. I think it's a positive to really share resources with the community. And this incentives can look in different ways, whatever you feel comfortable with, whatever your organization feels comfortable with, and whatever you think the youth will be most receptive of. Outreach methods matter. Sometimes it's important to change your outreach methods if you see that something isn't working, and also who you're speaking to. Maybe you want to shift gears from the youth and speak to parents or even teachers or caregivers or whoever it is. It's important to realize that one method does not fit all. So whatever you think is not working, change it. That's okay. It's all about trial and error. Another takeaway that I think is really, really important, and I really want to emphasize, is that collaboration equals growth. We have worked with numerous different organizations that also work with youth. And because of that, we are seeing that we are receiving a larger audience of youth. They are being referred to us from other organizations. We are seeing that our name is becoming more popular, and we are seeing that it has allowed us to build connections, and it offers opportunities for us to use their venue spaces, or contact them to be part of our event, and they'll contact us to be part of their event. So these connections are really, really important, and especially working in a nonprofit, I think I always welcome connections. And lastly, I want to talk about the importance of third spaces once again. So just really emphasizing that youth have a free space where they feel safe, and maybe even going to them rather than waiting for them to come to us, just to make sure that they are happy and that they are healthy and they have a space where they can be themselves. So that was my presentation. It was short and sweet. And again, here is the QR code for our Instagram account. If you have any questions for me directly, please feel free to send me an email. My email is right there. Otherwise, I will open it up for questions. And if Angelica, you want to take it over?
Yeah, thank you, Ashley. That was a really good presentation. I encourage everybody to check out their Instagram. Ashley, Vanya, everybody in the South Bay is doing some great things, and we go to her to always collaborate because they have some good insight. I just want to open it up to questions for either Ashley or Reese, or just in general, if anybody has any questions. All right, Thank you.